November 5th, 2011. We are on Broadway right now, and we are watching the Occupy Wall Street movement go down to
Folley Square.
Folley Square.
Which is the courthouse here.
This nice gentleman, what's your name, sir?
My name is Don.
Don. We were talking with him because we were going to get a view of the protests across the way, and he is not a protester, but he's sympathetic to the movement. Now, why are you sympathetic to the movement, sir?
Well, because of a couple of reasons. Starting to understand that the root cause of the problem is the federal legislation when the Glass-Steagall Act was repealed in 1999.
Right.
But also seem to be cognizant of the fact that the Federal Reserve is a private banking cartel.
Yep.
One of the large shareholders being the Rothschild family out of the City of London.
Yes.
And
it's a private institution, correct?
It's correct. The Federal Reserve Act was passed on Christmas Eve in 1913.
So do you have experience in finances?
No, just for my own personal interest.
And you do have stocks?
Yeah, a few.
And you lost money?
Well, yes. And as I was telling you when we first met each other here, there's a practice called naked short selling, which is the electronic counterfeiting of stock. It doesn't appear that the folks here at the Occupy Wall Street protest are really cognizant of that, and that's one of the real big issues facing the country today, is electronic counterfeiting.
There's actually a sign right there that says "End the Fed."
Oh, look at that. I was down at Zuccotti Park and I was talking to some of the people, and it was interesting finding that people were starting to be cognizant of, that the Glass-Steagall Act should be reinstated, that the Federal Reserve is a private institution which prints money and causes our inflation.
Right? I don't know if you know this, but the Federal Reserve, as you said, is a private institution, and it's historically been a big American debate. I don't know if you know the history about it, but it was instituted, the first central bank of America, which is what the Federal Reserve is. It was employed by Alexander Hamilton. It had a 20-year charter.
Right.
And so when the charter was up, Thomas Jefferson was in office, and he refused to renew the charter under much deliberation. That was called the first bank in the United States.
Right.
Then the second bank of the United States was put into power through James Madison, and it had a 20-year charter again. And when it came to time to stop, Andrew Jackson was in office, and he had to fight diligently to make sure that he killed the bank, which he did, and he said it was one of the best things of his presidency.
Right. A lot of people don't know that history.
Yes, and so right, 1913, then the third central bank was put into effect, which is the Federal Reserve. It's kind of that double speak. You call it federal, so people think it's part of.
Yeah, but there is federal as federal expresses.
Exactly. It put in by Woodrow Wilson, December 23rd, 1913, under what some would consider a secret session of Congress, because all the Congress members went home. And so now we have a bank that doesn't have a charter, that's there, for pretty much permanently, that lends money to the American people on interest, and then we have to pay that money back with that interest. Would you agree that that might be what Thomas Jefferson was calling debt slavery?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Folks don't understand that the interest we pay goes to the private bankers, and they literally print the money out of thin air. Mostly what they do now, they just create it electronically.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of fractional reserve lending, which all the other banks, when you go, that's how they create new money, and that's an inflationary effect on the currency.
Which inflation a lot of people see as a hidden tax.
Absolutely.
Because it
is a hidden tax.
Yes. So because as the amount of money gets circulated, your dollar becomes worth less. Thank you for being an American patriot.
No problem.
And staying educated.
And vote for Ron Paul.